From across the comic book community multiverse, the Comic-Con podcast begins now with your hosts, Justin, aka Nemesis Prime.
If you give them the title of influencer, then that's giving them more power, right? That's how it is. Like, I'm a nobody. Listen, I'm a nobody.
Zack, aka the Manimal.
We talked about it for a full, I believe, 7 to 8 minutes on an hour-long normal podcast for a show. And you would have thought we set their house on fire with the backlash. So,
yo, what's going on, everybody? Season 3 is upon us. 2023 is upon us. So we have Season 3, Episode 1 of the Comic-Con podcast. Man, let's get this started. I am so excited for the new year. Of course, we start the new year off with drama. We end the year with 2022 with drama. We just can't get away from it. It's ridiculous, this goddamn comic book community we're in. So what's going on? You all know your hosts. What's going on, people? Zack, how you doing, man? It's so funny. We were literally just talking for a good 30 minutes prior to the show, and I'm like, dude, are we ever going to start this show? Like, we need to record today. Like, episodes need to come out.
Well, and it's funny. I mean, it also in terms of the drama too. It was like I felt like we ended the year on a high note. Like, some of the drama we're going to kind of talk about today is like a bleed over, like Justin said, from last year. And we didn't really talk about it and touch on it because we were caught up in like our fun end of the year recap, doing the shit live and also the holidays and stuff. It's like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, do we really want to end the
holidays?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I wanted to end the year on a high note with everybody. You know, we had so many people on last year.
Right.
We were live on YouTube for the final week. You know, we did our comic book review, and I mean, shit, there was so much stuff to talk about. And, you know, I didn't want to get into it. I didn't want to be posting about it. I didn't want to talk about it last week. But of course, it bleeds over, and we are not even 5 days into the year.
It's, you know, and honestly, some people who are listening right now, you guys might have already been like tapped out a little bit on all the coverage of this stuff, you know, but we do know that, you know, some of you wait to hear what we have to say about this stuff, and we appreciate that. And we've always been, you know, us and a few other people in the community have never shied away from talking about the drama, as opposed to, you know, people who refuse to or claim that by talking about the drama, you're quote unquote bullying people or whatever, which we'll kind of touch on as well tonight. But yeah, dude, we got to talk about it. I mean, there was like 2 big incidents that have just kind of blown up in this past like week, bro, that like, if we don't speak on it, we've always said, like, if you don't speak on something, sometimes that speaks louder, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So we got to touch on it, bro. We have to. So let's get into 2023, man. Fuck. So maybe I'll start it off. I'll start off with the old one, right? The 2022 end of the year drama, right? Okay. So
cheers to the community.
Cheers to the community, dude. I always like the drama that doesn't include us though as well. Anyway, so 2022 ended, and obviously one of the hot books of 2022, late 2022, was the ASM Spider-Man book, right? Everyone knows what we're talking about. 8 Mile, Eminem, blah blah blah, rapping against Spider-Man. Well, Javon Jordan from Uranium Age, right? Or just Uranium Comics?
Uranium
Comics. He did an homage to that cover with his Hail Crow title. So if you haven't seen this infamous cover at this point, it's Javon on the stage rapping against one of his characters, King Crow, I believe his name is. And in the crowd, you have a ton of people. Like in the original, you had a bunch of like Marvel characters, and in this
influencers.
In this one, you have some of those influencers that are in the stands, and then random characters. But you know what? We'll go ahead and name who they are. You can see Comic Tom, you can see Stash Loot, you can see Bolo, you can see Gem Mint, Davis Ryder. Am I missing any? Who else is in there?
I don't know. I don't care.
I don't know. Anyway, they're all in the crowd. Okay. And yeah, that annoys a lot of people, obviously, because those people annoy a lot of people. And it's just very, you know, dick stroking purposes, it felt like. But anyway, the real controversy was one of the characters in the background of the scene was a dude with a bag over his head with swastikas for eyes, or swastikas over like the eye where the eyes would be, right? Well, picture got posted. There was a lot of heat, like I said initially, on the influencers being on there and people talking shit like, oh, why are these losers on there and stuff like that, making comments. But a few people really picked up on the swastikas and were like, yo, what's up with the dude with swastikas? And especially in this day and age, There's a lot of anti-Semitism kind of re-emerging, and it's a hot button topic. So Javon went back and took down his post. So sorry, he had a post up, Tom had a post up, Jem had a post up. I believe Jem had a post up with the swastikas. That one I'm not entirely sure, mainly because I'm blocked on all of his stuff. So anyway, Javon and Tom both took their posts down. They had received heat on both their posts about the swastikas. There was a quick touch-up job done where X's were put over the eyes and nothing was spoken about. That shit don't fly either in 2022, hashtag 2020 or cross 2023.
Oh, please, man.
Right?
Trailers drop accidentally and people screenshot it and record it on Twitter, and then it's there. It's on the internet without a doubt.
Yeah, that shit was, people were screenshotting like, oh, why'd you try to cover up? And now it looks worse, bro. It looks worse that you didn't speak on it. You didn't say, hey, man, I kind of fucked up here. Guess I shouldn't have put that. My bad, blah, blah, blah. It was just like, they think they're a little bit above everyone and they just are untouchable in a way. And the community, I think, is very much like saying, yo, we will touch you. And, you're not above this kind of stuff. So the heat got picked up even more. And a lot of people were pissed off about it. And justifiably, to be honest. And we'll talk about some of the claims as to why this is a big deal and what it's not. But Jem then came out and was saying people were crybabies, calling people crybabies for being upset about swastikas, which I thought was very tasteless coming from an individual who is the descendant of a Jewish person. His grandfather was Jewish. And I know that from the time I spent with him. And then he reiterated that. That's not a false claim. He said it on his own thing. If you want to fact check me on that. But Jem is Jewish, of Jewish descent, which, I mean, say what you will if you want. If you want to be like, well, I'm Jewish and I can say what I want about that. It's very insensitive to other people. And there were a lot of people who are Jewish in the comments that were extremely unhappy about what was being said and didn't find it crybaby or didn't find it, not a big deal. So, it's just, I don't know, man. It's hard to understand where to stand on this, I guess. And I guess my thought on swastikas are this. And so that was some of the things. People are the claims like, well, there's been swastikas in comics. And people are like, oh, Captain America, Red Skull, Hellboy, all these things. I think Javon even said in his statement, which he finally made on Jem's post, he said, well, Frank Miller does it. Well, sorry, Javon, you ain't Frank Miller, first off. Okay, so you don't get to categorize yourself or use that as an example. And second, when you're using a swastika, all those examples you're using for the most part, minus maybe the Frank Miller, those were Nazis. So if you are showing Adolf Hitler in the crowd, that's a different story. If you're showing a Nazi soldier in Nazi regalia, that's a different story. You are a person with a bag on his head with just the Nazi symbol. It's different. It throws people off a little bit. It rubs people the wrong way.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
What are your thoughts, Justin?
No, I agree with you, man. It's wild. The fact that he, kind of did the quick edit and, maybe should have came out and said some more stuff instead of letting all this stuff, boil up between all the channels, all the platforms, all the people. Like it's not a great way. It's not a great look. And then of course, it always falls back on like who you sleep with, right? Like,
right.
It's never anybody new. It's always the same people. Like people in the community know who the bad boys are. You're a bad boy. Like it's the same people. So, he could have did it better, but he could have done a better job, but it is what it is. It ended 2022 with some, little stain in everybody's pants. And, there's people that are whatever. Some people don't care. Some people care, but at the end of the day, like we know that there was a touch-up job. There was not really much said about it. And, some people got hurt. I think a lot of the comments are crazy. Like you said, like what Jem said, I think it's, if, I'm Italian, like would I go and say anything here on the platform and saying like, oh, well, if people are crying about some, Italian thing, like, but we don't, well, it's not, or Polish thing or Jewish, like Chinese thing, like whatever it is. I don't think that gives you the right, like you're just trying to be a tough guy because, you're a keyboard warrior, I feel like.
Yeah. And one of the victims or one of the people out there are claiming as a victim of this is Whatnot. Okay. And I actually would like to talk about that as well a little bit because like I said, when I put it out, first and foremost, I said it was Javon Jordan from Uranium Comics, right? It was not a Whatnot Publishing. It was not that.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the problem. And this is kind of what to touch on what Justin said as well, is Javon has made himself synonymous with Whatnot. Whatnot has pushed Javon as a focal point for their audience. Javon has also put Whatnot people, Jem has on his tag on his Instagram as a partner of Whatnot. We know that Tom is paid a salary, so to speak, from Whatnot. They work for Whatnot. They're in the crowd. Then you have Bolo, who's like the marketing guy for Whatnot. So for all the people who are saying like, well, it's not fair to be mad at Whatnot. Whatnot had nothing to do with this. Well, I see 5 Whatnot people, Stash Loot. I see all these Whatnot people front and center on this book that had to have agreed and understood this. So is Whatnot to blame? Did they produce this book? No, they didn't. But like Justin said, you are who you're friends with, right? So you have pushed this model. Whatnot has pushed the model of, we want influencers as the face of our company. And that's fine. If that works for you and you think that's a good idea, that's great. But all the good comes with the bad. So when you have a bad situation and someone muddies up your name, like this book does, whether it's Whatnot, it reflects upon you. And you have to eat that crow, pun intended, hail crow.
Oh, so there we go. The puns have already started.
Boom, baby, 2023. So yeah, dude, I don't feel bad for Whatnot here. Like, honestly, fucking short-sighted of them to not look at that book and be like, ooh, that might be an issue. Can you please remove the swastikas? I don't know. So that was kind of the end of 2022 drama, right? And
yep, that was the end of it. That's how we ended the good old 2022. Great
Why don't you
year.
roll us into the 2023 drama?
Well, 2023, again, it even starts off with some, I guess, IG Whatnotters. There was a variant that got dropped, and there's the whole issue with the, I guess, what's the word I want to use for this? Do you have the copyrights for all this? So there's this Pixie Runner #1 coming out from Epic Nation, Sleeping Giant, and Nerdy Girl Comics. It's got Voltron on it with a mashup of Homer Simpson and Maggie Simpson. It's done by my good friend, our good friend of the channel, Livio Ramondelli.
Which is like the worst part about this.
Yeah, of course. And, so, and I'm glad, like, he's kind of, no one's going out bashing Livio. Like, I'm really happy about that. And I'm sure, I've known him for a really long time. So I'm pretty sure he would stay out from all this as well. So, but yeah, so, the post got, taken over, and some people basically, it was put on another IG post. And of course you got the Epic Nation, and then you had Nick GQ. They were basically battling each other in the comments of someone's Instagram post, and eventually got taken down. Of course, you can go ahead and watch the entire video over at Keep It Thorough. He just had a full live show with both of them on there, basically battling it out between themselves. But there was a lot of comments that were said. There was a lot of stuff that, I got to read before this post was taken down. Nick GQ is someone who's been in this comic book community that maybe a lot of people don't know. He's, East Coast, New York. He's literally been in it for a very long time. And, say what you want to say about him, but, he's definitely been there for the long haul. Someone who had cancer, beat it. He's in remission. I've had the pleasure of meeting him back at New York Comic Con. Let me tell you, he looked really bad. Like, and, he even says, in his video last night on Thorough's thing, he probably only had about a month to live if, things didn't get better. Right. And I believe that, and I saw him, and I got to say, I don't know Nick GQ from a hole in the wall other than the name. But, that man, he hit me up literally a week or two before New York Comic Con, and was like, hey, man, come stop by my booth, let's chat. He was inviting me out to his, parties and for New York Comic Con. And I don't ever get invited out to anything like that. And I've been going to Comic Con for 10 years. So, I definitely stopped by his booth every day. We had great conversations. We were talking comics. We were talking about art. We were talking about variants. Like, that's not me. Like, so, there's a lot of people, like, I obviously really would love to have Nick on here just to chat, just so people can get to know him other than what they've seen, like, on Instagram and maybe Whatnot and YouTube. Cause I'm sure if you guys watch Thorough stuff with him and Epic, they battle it out. And if that's your first interactions with these two people, 100%, like,
You may not like them. They may, be like, man, both these guys are losers. They're standoffish. They're douches, whatever you want to call them. Like, but yeah. So that literally, and that started 2023 with these two Instagram, with a bang, like comic book community Instagrammers, whatnotters, whatever you want to call them. And it's literally already, like I said, not even 5 days in, and we had this huge thing happen on social media. So, my take on it, again, like I don't know. There's a lot of stuff. Like I said, you can go back and watch Thorough's video. It's like a 4-hour long show. They're in it for about 3 hours.
It's a long time. Yeah,
I sat and watched it, and I had some conversations with Thorough and some other outside people, and everybody who I'm in like group chats with. It's the talk of the town this week. There's always something going on in the comic book community, but I think that both of them are in the wrong. I think some things are said. We'll get into some of the shadiness. Like Epic's basically someone who records everything and screenshots everything. So
watch out for that guy.
Watch out anytime you ever talk to him. I would make sure you pat him down like with a fine-tooth comb. Have the metal detector on him. Make sure he's not wired up. Like, pull the shirt. But it's pretty bad for someone who says that that they were friends. And even Nick, man, Nick is a wildcat, man. He's definitely he speaks his mind, and that's something that you and I do here on the podcast, and we've been doing over the past 2 years. So, do I believe everything he says or throws at the wall? I don't know. Like, he's definitely, he's from the New York area, the school of hard knocks. He's got that old mentality, like, and Nick's a crazy firecracker. But there was a lot of things that were said, and some even allegations coming out that did Nick really have cancer, which is something that's
crazy.
I don't know who you are, but that is some low level shit. Like, you don't ever do that. So, go ahead, Zach. Like, what do you got on this?
It's tough because I'm with you too. I don't know Nick more than, the Instagram community and the comic book community. And I barely do it that because like we've said multiple times, like neither you nor I really watch much YouTube or, I'm on Instagram here and there, and I'm not on Whatnot a ton. But I've known Nick. I guess I know Nick better because I know people. I have close friends, people like you who have met him, or other people that I know that know him and vouch for him. So out of the two of them, I definitely know him better, so to speak. I'd never heard of Epic Nations before this incident. I don't know, man. I'm with you. I'm kind of like, it's tough to say who's right and who's wrong here. I feel for Nick because there's definitely if I'm putting it like personally, obviously the cancer stuff resonates. I don't know how you're a person and that doesn't resonate to you, that the guy struggled, right? I mean, the guy was basically told you're not going to survive past X date. And he had to live for a while knowing that was the case. And man, that's brutal. So mad props, toughen out. That takes a fortitude that I'm not aware of, and I imagine 99% of the people listening to this podcast right now are not aware of. So my hat's off to Nick for that alone, and my heart goes out to him. And then I'll be honest with you, I mean, the story about now, whether I'm getting the full story and who's right and who's wrong here, I don't know. I'm just saying based on what little information I gleaned from this, it was hard to follow at times, but I feel for Nick because it kind of reflects somewhat my situation as well. It seemed like Nick is all about friendship, and he was really close with Epic Nation, and he kind of like backstabbed him and burned him. And he's very kind of thrown off by that. So Nick is like, yo, I thought you were this guy and you weren't this guy. And you were one of my closest friends. You burned me. I had that situation in the comic book community with Gem Men. Same thing, where it was like, I thought this guy was someone he wasn't. And then I saw who he really was. The difference is, I think the benefit for me is I saw it before I got backstabbed hardcore like Nick, and I was like, yeah, I'm out. Like, no, I see you for who you are. So that resonated with me. With Epic, it's hard for me to side with him on this, to be honest with you. One, because kind of what we just talked about previously, he's in bed with people that I don't respect and I don't trust. Okay. I feel like he's drinking the Kool-Aid. It does seem like he's chasing the buck. It does seem like money is more important to him. And you know what? If that's your game, that's your game. Like, I get it. That's your business. Okay, cool. But there are consequences to running your life that way. And this is it. Like, you lose respect, or people will lose respect for you, and you'll lose friendship. To me, that's not worth it. But if that's your thing, cool. The reverse with Nick, some of the stuff that I kind of find that kind of throws me off about Nick's side of the story is, well, one, Nick was very defended Javon Jordan during all this situation. And I get it. That's his friend. You know, he has a relationship with Javon. He said multiple times, you know, during the Javon situation and during Thoreau's show that he told Javon to speak out and to, you know, release a statement, which 100% I think would have been the better move. And I think he was right there. I think my only issue with Nick's take on the Javon situation is Nick is playing it more like the only reason people are upset are because there's whatnot influencers on the book. And that isn't the case. The case is the swastikas. The whatnot influencers is just fucking icing on the cake. It's just an easier way to see how annoying that book is. And then my other issue with Nick's side of the story is I feel like Nick's defending whatnot too much. And I think whatnot is, like Thoreau says throughout the show multiple times, and I could not agree more with our boy Thoreau, whatnot is toxic as fuck. I think it's a breeding ground for toxicity in the comic book community this past year. We've talked about multiple things that almost every single community drama we have originates somewhere or touches whatnot at some point. So the proof is in the pudding, as they say, you know. But I don't know, dude. I mean, this situation, there was, like you said, a lot of allegations, a lot of crazy shit was said to each other. The cancer stuff was wild.
Yeah, I think we're going to fight. You and I are going to fight, right? We're going to get it sanctioned. Tag team match. You? Yeah, just tag team match.
You and me versus who?
I don't know. We'll figure out something. Maybe Newbie Comics and Black Crown Comics.
Oh, we're going to Canada with this shit.
We're gonna go to Canada. You know, they just had the World Juniors, and I had a conversation with Newbie. I know there's a sidetracking now. I had a conversation with Newbie. He was asking me if I'm watching the World Juniors, and I was like, "What the hell is the World Juniors?"
Is that the bullshit Black Crown was posting about Canada beating USA?
Yeah.
I didn't even know hockey was a real sport, bro.
He's like, oh, I guess it's not a big thing in the U.S. Like, you know, soccer's like a big thing overseas. No, soccer's a big thing in every other country besides this country, like United States. But like hockey, yes, hockey is a big thing in Canada. But like for the most part, I don't think anybody really cares about the World Juniors. Even if you care about hockey, I don't really think you care about the World Juniors. So
total down the rabbit hole. But yeah, it's like, I mean, in the East Coast, hockey might be important. I live in Texas, bro. Like, I live on the border of Mexico. Nobody playing hockey down here. Okay.
He's like, oh, aren't you a hockey state? I go, yeah, we have the Devils, and like there's two teams in New York, but it's like not real. Like, okay,
Seinfeld, the Devils. With what's his name? Oh gosh, I'm mind blank right now. Anyway, sorry. So back to
no, it's fine.
The fighting stuff was wild. I mean, look, I'm gonna give some advice to people out there. Like, there's a lot of people in the community that I don't actually. Well, that's not true. I don't consider the people I don't like part of the community. I consider them to be parasites of the community. But be smart about what you say. We live in the digital age. You can't be telling people you're going to fight them. You can't be telling people you're going to come to their house. That's a quick way to get a restraining order with very little work done.
You're going to hurt them.
Yeah, it's not a good look, man. And on the reverse, you can't be recording people's conversations. There's state laws against that, one-party consent. You can't be doing that. That's not the world we live in anymore. So now a lot of things were thrown around in Thoreau's chat or Thoreau's show that was making me laugh. But all the talk about RICO charges and shit. And
there's so much, but
I was laughing to myself like, oh yeah, the federal government's really concerned about the RICO statutes as it pertains to the comic book community.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, dude, we got bigger fish to fry than you guys in the comic book community.
Oh, so true. So yeah, that's the way we ended 2022. That's the way we started 2023. Let's get the hell out of this drama. Let's get onto some comic book stuff, and there's some articles. So Zach, why don't you start us off with some comic book news from Marvel Comics?
So this is one we actually talked about not too long ago, right? Like we had an article that was leaning this way, but it hadn't came out. And I actually have a little extra to talk about with this article. So This is from bleedingcool.com. Marvel cancels the Hulk comic after 14 issues. So Donny Cates is withdrawn from his major Marvel Comics projects of late, with Al Ewing and then, man, I don't want to butcher his name, Torrin Grönbeck, stepping up to write Thor, and Ryan Ottley taking over the writing of Hulk as well as drawing the book. But Ryan has also talked about how he doesn't want to work long on runs anymore. He previously stated, after Hulk, I'll be going back to creator-owned at Image Comics for a while, maybe Marvel again someday, but next up for me is an independent book where I share ownership with a writer, 50% pay, and a project I'm absolutely excited to do. It's a win-win-win. I can't pass it up, but don't expect too long a run, whatever it is. So we kind of talked about this previously. We mentioned that there was going to be some shakeup in terms of the writers and artists with the Hulk, and as well with Thor, and that Donny Cates was kind of stepping away. And I recently saw something on social media that, and I'm wondering if this has to do with it, is Donny Cates, I think, just went through a divorce. He split up with his wife.
No, Megan.
Yeah, and he's single now. And I'm assuming, like, obviously, I'm not trying to, I want to be clear about this. I'm not making light of this by any means. It's horrible. My heart goes out to him. I hope, they both are better off for what happens, for the future and moving on. And I justifiably can understand, taking a step back and being like, hey man, I can't keep up this workload right now. If that's the case, I don't know if that's the case, but I'm saying that is happening in his life. And then this stuff is going on. So, yeah, so,
but do you think so? It's not uncommon that writers leave series and then it gets picked up from somebody else. Like,
true.
So obviously we all know Al Ewing did a great job with the last Hulk series, went almost 50 issues.
Oh, 50. Yeah, went 50.
Yeah. So, how come you just can't continue? Like, why does the Hulk need to end? This is another Marvel thing that we constantly talk about. Like, why do we have to end a Marvel series just because the writer is done? Like, I guess it's there. I get it. It's his story. And I guess he's going to wrap it up in a way where it's done, but the Hulk should still continue to be an ongoing series. Is this really the future of comics, where they're not continuing ongoing series, where it's just whatever writer is writing it, and then it's going to end, and then it's going to relaunch, and then we're going to get more new number ones and more variants for number one? Or,
I hope that's not the case.
Well, it's good for you and me, because we buy the books, we complete the runs, and then we sell the runs if we want to.
So I think, I don't know. Once again, this is just my guess and my opinion, is maybe they're canceling the run because obviously Donny Cates tried to do something different with the Hulk, and I don't know how you really. It's so different that you just can't bring in a new writer and be like, hey, no longer Spaceship Hulk. You know what I mean? So I get it in terms of this, and I hope that's the case. My hope is that's the reason why they're ending it. They'll give it a bit and they'll let someone take a new run at the Hulk, rather than what you're saying. Is this just going to be like?
Yeah, I get it. You'd have to completely change the status quo of the Hulk. And it's very hard unless, you work with the next writer. It's a little bit just to continue that story and kind of even in a way to break away from Space Hulk.
Yeah.
I can't believe we're saying that.
Spaceship Hulk.
Spaceship Hulk. Yeah. So that's, obviously, like with characters like Batman and Superman and Spider-Man, like there's easy ways that you continue the storyline, and whatever the previous writer built, there's ways to just keep that around, on the back burner, but not make it so mainstream. But yeah, with Hulk, the way that this series has been written it's Spaceship Hulk, and it just can't be. Agreed. Yeah. I don't think it really can be done. It can't be continued with whomever. Like, you could get a top A-list writer and artist to continue, and I don't think they would want to do it because there's so much.
And props given to Donny Cates for trying to take the character in a different direction, because we've talked about that a lot, where it's like sometimes that's the thing is about these characters that have been around so long, is it's hard to have these ongoings because you just get the same character over and over again, right? And so Donny Cates had the double negative benefit, I guess, or the double negativity of, like, one, he had to follow up Immortal Hulk, where something new was done with Hulk and it was awesome and people loved it. Like, Al Ewing's Hulk run is going to go down as probably one of the greatest Hulk runs of all time. And, to be honest, I mean, some people out there might be really mad at me for saying there's probably not a lot of great Hulk runs. I mean, you can probably think
Yeah.
like the Peter David time. People
I would
say
have thought of.
Planet Hulk. The Planet Hulk was really short. I think people forget that. Planet Hulk wasn't that long. It was definitely not 50 issues. And it wasn't a story like a 50 issue concise story like Al Ewing's run was. Right.
Mhm.
So you had to follow up that and you had to take Hulk in a new direction. And that's tough to do, man.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's definitely, I would have said the same thing, like Peter David. And then, I mean, like realistically, unless it's like the Copper Age with all the first appearances of all the different characters that showed up in Hulk, like what's really a great Hulk story? Like maybe Hulk 1 to 6, you know, like.
Yeah, I don't know. I will be completely honest. I haven't read much Hulk, to be honest. I really haven't. I read Immortal Hulk and it was amazing. So I'm okay with this. I'd rather them do that than what they were kind of doing. I honestly, I hope we hear soon that they're going to do the same with Thor. I hope Thor ends as well, bro. Because you can tell I'm seeing the story is it's choppy, bro. That's the problem when you bring in these writers and the storylines aren't completely done. It's very choppy, and I don't like it. So stop it. So to answer your question, I actually kind of prefer this situation. Like, stop the run, do a new.
Change back to the status quo of something like where he is, who Hulk normally is, or change it again, but don't do what they're currently doing. Yeah. All right. So next up, we got some more. There's something a little bit different. You know, we never really do top 10s on here, right? We've, typically we just read articles, but this is a pretty interesting article over at comicbook.com. 10 female superheroes we still need to see on screen. So, of course, there's a lot of females, heroes, heroines, sidekicks, sexy ladies in cat costumes that have not been on the screen, whether it's Marvel or DC. So, comicbook.com kind of created this top 10 list, and Zach and I are going to kind of, pick some of our favorites off this list. So, this was actually just posted today on January 5th. So we have from DC, we have Batgirl, we got Black Cat, of course, we have Silver Sable, Jessica Cruz, the Green Lantern from the DC Comics, Zatanna, Nubia, of course, from DC as well, Hellcat, Power Girl, and Dazzler, and the last but not least, the little one, Squirrel Girl. So, Zach, I mean, I know there's an X-Men on there.
Yeah, there's some good ones on here. I think if I were to pick two, okay, I'm trying to think here. So the two I'd be interested in seeing are actually three, because I'm going to leave one to you. I'm going to just mention Zatanna. I'd like to see. I know you're going to talk about that. I would like to see, I guess, maybe Jessica Cruz. I mean, to be honest, I don't really care if it's Jessica Cruz. I just more want to see Green Lantern. I want more I want Green Lantern universe. We talked about that, I think, last week, right? Where we went on.
Yep.
We were talking about Green Lantern. So I want more Green Lantern in like the live action for sure. But Dazzler, 100%. 100%. I think Dazzler will be an amazing to see in the new X-Men universe. I think there's so much potential there as well. If you were to cast like a pop, like a real life pop singer who also acts, someone like that, I think that would just crush. The thing about Dazzler that's crazy too is a lot of people don't understand how powerful Dazzler is as an X-Men or as a mutant in general, because she's always kind of played in the, she's the singer and she's just kind of like the pop star concert person. But I mean, the times when she's been on an ongoing X-Men team, I mean, her powers are sound. Unless you live in a world without sound, which isn't possible right now, like that, dude, she crushes, man. She's so awesome. And visually, her powers would be amazing on the screen. So Dazzler's my one for sure.
Okay. I'll definitely, we'll go back and forth. I'll piggyback. Of course, like you said, Zatanna. This is something that has been in the works since 2018, like a live action movie. And they talk about it in the article with from promising young women, Emerald Fennell. She was tapped to write the script, but there's been no updates for years. So yeah, I mean, the same thing, like Zatanna, we've talked about this before here on the podcast. Like, obviously they're coming out with a sequel to Constantine, for Keanu Reeves. We've seen magic in the DC a little bit I think visually magic is there. Like even non DC, right? Like non comic book movies, like magic movies are always cool.
Right.
And the way she has, she obviously has different realms that she can enter in and out of. So, I think Zatanna would definitely be my number one to see on the big screen before a lot of these other characters, just because it's something different. And, we are opening up that world into Marvel, obviously with horror and magic. And I mean, hell, we have, we've seen Doctor Strange, we've seen Doctor Fate. Like, why not bring in, this female who's been around for, almost 50 years now. She's definitely someone who has had her own series. She's been on the Justice League Dark Team, and that's another thing that, we would love to see is a team-based movie. So, hopes for her to come out sooner rather than later. She's
only
she
had her
hasn't
in
been around
Smallville.
to. What's up?
Smallville's the only like live action we've had of her.
Yeah. That's about it. And it was it's the same actress that played Medusa from Inhumans.
Oh my God, it is. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
It's the only thing I actually know her other than those two things from.
It's hard to look past that horrible wig from Medusa and recognize someone.
Yeah, but yeah, I loved her in Smallville for I think she was in like a few episodes. So yeah, Zatanna is definitely my go-to for this. What about you? What's another one that you want to talk about?
I mean, I don't really have any more that I would need to see. The ones I couldn't care less about. I don't understand Power Girl, honestly. Like Power Girl to me is just anything DC right now really just irritates me. So like Power Girl, pretty much just Supergirl, right? So I don't.
Yeah, she's like from she's kind of like from the Justice Society, like alternate, because obviously the timeline, like before Crisis on Infinite Earths, there was the whole Justice Society of America. So she's literally like an alternate version of Supergirl, which is, and she literally has huge boobs. Like that's literally like that's her thing. Like, does anybody buy the Power Girl comic for anything else?
And Nubia, like, nah, dude. I mean, just the irritation of them already getting like axing and it recently coming out that James Gunn said he has no plans for Wonder Woman in his DC universe at all as of now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we talked about this, I believe, last week as well, or I think it was last week. There's no interesting Amazons besides Wonder Woman. So you can bring in Nubia, you can bring in what's her name? What's the other
Cassie Sidmark and Donna Troy.
Yeah, Donna Troy. Well, Donna Troy, yeah, but the newest new one. Oh God.
Yara Flora.
Yeah, I'm not interested in them. Like even Cassie Sandsmark, like it's kind of like okay, but like, and I do like Donna Troy, but I don't need these other ones. Batgirl, yeah, it'd be cool. It'd be cool in a Bat Family movie, I guess. I don't know. And then Black Cat and Silver Sable. Black Cat for sure would be cool. Silver Sable, I mean, come on, dude. It's like a D-list character. I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like D-list characters, sometimes they can become B-list characters.
That's
you never
true.
know.
They can pop. It's
definitely something that we've never seen. So hell, why not?
I guess I just don't think in like the Spelunk universe she can carry her own movie. Like I would love to see her as like a character in a movie. You know what I mean? Like a supporting character, but a Silver Sable movie. I mean,
well, how about like putting her in? And obviously, this is kind of really going out there. But what about like in Daredevil?
Yeah. Yes. Any kind of supporting role for sure would be cool. But I mean, you won't get her in Daredevil because she's a Sony property.
Yeah,
but
you're right. It's tough to put her there, but it's something that you kind of seen because even like she's been in the expansion, like DLC downloadable content for Spider-Man, and she kind of plays in that world where it's little Daredevil-ish.
She's a merc too.
Yeah,
like you could bring her in as like working for. Like an interesting character, you could have her working for any kind of corporate organization where she starts off as the bad guy. I mean, this is pretty much her character arc in general in every storyline where she starts off like working for the bad guy and then she realizes either they're not getting paid enough or she doesn't want to do bad shit and they quit. I mean, that's literally probably exactly what you're going to see her story arc in any form of live action. So.
And then I guess, for me, for like another character, and this is, again, what I said, sexy girl in a cat costume, Felicity Jones, who she portrayed Felicia Hardy in Amazing Spider-Man 2. So that was really awesome to kind of see her in the, not Tobey Maguire, damn, what's the other one's name? Holland? No,
Holland?
not Holland. Damn it.
Oh,
Third one?
Garfield.
Garfield.
The
There
second
you go. I couldn't think of it.
You're all out of order.
Yeah, it was all out of order there. But yeah, I mean, Felicity Jones is a great actress. She would have portrayed an awesome Felicia Hardy, like, and you know, again, same thing, like a Black Cat solo film that was originally it was going to be a team up between Silver Sable and Black Cat, but now you know they have been talking about Black Cat solo film, but I think they're going to bring Black Cat, of course, in this next trilogy of Spider-Man movies, without a doubt. Like, she needs to be there. Like, we've seen a lot of male villains in the Tom Holland Spider-Mans. Like, let's bring in like a female character that is, of course, you know, also like a romantic relationship with him. Because I guess now he's going to be in college. So we definitely need to bring in Felicia into this world. You know, whether she stays in it, who knows? But I think that's the way to go, is bringing her into the college years of Peter Parker.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think we do. You're right. I actually didn't think about it until you said it, but like, you got to bring some more female blood or female energy into the Tom Holland movies besides Mary Jane. But once again, that's the question: is will Sony allow? It seems like they have their own plans with Black Cat, right? Like a solo movie. So will they allow her character to cross over into the Marvel movies, to the Marvel Sony joint movies? So who knows?
Yeah, I feel like we need her because there's so much Sony that's been announced between, you know, like what's the Latin wrestler?
Oh, Muerto.
El Muerto, and then you know recently we got Hypno Hustler just got announced. So like, why again all these stuff? And yes, we're getting Silk on Amazon, like, right? That was announced last year that we possibly will be getting Silk on there. So you know, I think that's one thing. But again, that's another Spider character. Let's get out of the Spider characters. Let's bring more female characters from Marvel that are yes in the Spider-Man realm, but not Spider characters. Again, I'd love a Spider-Gwen movie, but.
Oh, would you? Would you just love one?
I would love one. So
I know you would.
Yeah, totally. Then bring back Emma Stone to play her would be.
That'd be cool. That would be cool.
I'm actually hoping that for like Secret Wars.
You know, they're totally off topic too, and I don't know if
I know that's why I brought this up.
I don't know if this is true, but like, have you seen this about Famke Janssen or whatever? Maybe possibly playing Jean Grey in Secret Wars.
Yeah, and them bringing back Hugh Jackman and Tobey Maguire to be also
to like fight each other or something.
Yeah,
which like I don't just bring them back. I don't need to see them fight each other. Why would I want to see Wolverine fight Spider-Man, right? Dude? It's dumb because there's only one way it can win. Spider-Man's toast.
Pretty much so. Yeah, I'd say so.
You just you're Jack, dude. You're just one shot. He's gonna get you one time. You're screwed.
Yeah. So and Secret Wars have so much, you know, they say Tony Stark, you know, Robert Downey Jr. is coming back. I'm sure like, you know, Chris Evans will come back and maybe we'll get that cool, like cover homage where Wolverine slices Cap's shield, you know, that cover from Mike Zeck. Yeah. That'd be like pretty cool. Like obviously we've seen multiple times across different comic book movies when they do, you know, specific scenes. So yeah, I'm interested in seeing something like that, and you know, we'll see what happens for Secret Wars. Of course, you know, last week we talked about all the DC stuff and the shakeups, and I know James Gunn should be announcing something this month with a slate for his 8 to 10 year plan, whatever he wants to say. So
yeah, we're supposed to get some news, right?
Yeah. So let's move on. We have a brand new topic going forward for 2023. Like you said, like we said last week, we wanted to change up some stuff. So a new, you know, before we get into what are we currently reading, we have what are we currently pre-ordering. So every week, Zach and I are going to pick a title that is pre-orderable for that month, and it'll be coming out typically, you know, March, if not April. So anything right now for January is going to be coming out in either March or April. So every week here on the podcast, we're going to be talking about a new number one, whether it's an ongoing series, limited series, hell, it may even be a one shot. You never know. But we looked at all the solicitations. We're each going to pick a book for ourselves before we get into what are we currently reading. So for this month, and you know, of course, we'll kind of give you a little synopsis of what it's about. And maybe you'll like it, maybe you won't, but we're going to give you 2 months in advance to pre-order the book if you like the titles we choose. So, Zach, what do you got our first? What are we currently pre-ordering?
Yeah, man. Okay, so mine is going to be, and this maybe won't come across as too much of a surprise if you've listened to me talk about some of the stuff I read. This is from Image Comics. It's called No One. It's by writer Kyle Higgins and artist Kyle Higgins and Brian Buccellato, and then artist Geraldo Borges. And this is actually part of the Massive Verse, right? It's tied in with like Radiant Black, Radiant Pink, Rogue Sun, all those books, right? So anyway, here is the premise. Miniseries premiere 10 months ago. The Richard Roe murders shocked the city of Pittsburgh. In the months since, the killings have sparked a dangerous political movement, copycat killers, and a masked vigilante who's still determined to hold the powerful accountable. Not a symbol, not a hero. They could be anyone. They're no one. Superstar writers Kyle Higgins and Brian Buccellato and rising star artist Geraldo Borges bring you the extra-length first chapter of a true crime superhero drama in its own corner of the Massiveverse. Plus, the story continues in Who Is No One, a monthly companion podcast starring Rachel Lee Cook and Patton Oswalt.
Oh.
So, I don't know. I think it's cool. I really love the Massiveverse. I'm enjoying this little pocket universe within Image and the titles that you don't have to read all of them, but they do kind of bleed sometimes over to each other. And I think it's really great. I'm a big Kyle Higgins fan. I like Brian Buccellato. I'm probably one of the few people who reads, that's not fair to say. I do still really enjoy Chicken Devils, even though Aftershock's going down. But yeah, man, I think this is cool. And I might even listen to the podcast. That sounds very, very interesting. A monthly companion podcast of Rachel Lee Cook and Patton Oswalt. That sounds pretty cool. So that's my pick for pre-order month of January for March solicitations, right? Yeah, expected ship date March 15th for this book.
Cool.
No One.
Interesting. All right. And for myself, I got a Boom Studios title. So right now this looks like it's going to be solicited for a 5-issue mini, but we all know sometimes, 5-issue minis turn into 10 issues or maybe even ongoing based on sales. So we have the name of the title. It's called Neighbors. So Neighbors #1, when Janet and Oliver Gotti move to a quaint mountain town, their daughter, Casey, becomes part of a horrific chain of events, revealing that their neighbors are anything but what they seem. Soon, an unsettling old woman named Agnes Early fixates on Janet and Oliver's other daughter, their 2-year-old Isabel. It becomes clear that it's impossible to know who to trust or even who is human. Steeped in Irish and English folklore and mythology, with Judd, of course, Ellison joins artist Litza Cadona, who's done House of Slaughter. Tread new ground in a challenging new horror, a perfect tale for fans of Eat the Rich and Nice House on the Lake. So, definitely interested in this. Of course, if I've talked about Eat the Rich previously on the podcast. Of course, Nice House on the Lake. If anybody's been reading that, Zach, I know that just wrapped up, of course, from Tinian. But, I'm interested for the simple fact it's got, it's the new little folklore that they're doing. Zach and I are both, big fans of Arthurian folklore. So, we'll get some different stuff here with the Irish and English folklore. So you may see, obviously, monsters and tales from that type of folklore that, may not have known of, or you may know, and it's being brought into a comic book format. So I'm definitely interested in this. It drops on March 22nd, issue #1 of a 5-issue miniseries.
That's awesome. Yeah, I like that one too when I saw that one.
So again, something new for 2023 here on the podcast. What are we currently pre-ordering? Every week we're going to be picking out a new title for you for that month, showing up in at least 2 months, hopefully, if not 3 months. So let's get on to, of course, our final topic of how we always end our podcasts for, of course, every year, and season 3 is no different. What are we currently reading? What are you currently reading, Zach?
Man, so this book's probably like a week or 2 old now at this point, but I just read it actually right before we did the podcast. The book I really, really enjoyed this week was, hold on, let me pull it up real quick and not away from my mic. The Book of Slaughter, like just a one-shot kind of large format, or like, I don't know, 32 pages or something, book from Tinian, obviously, in the Something is Killing the Children universe. Really, really enjoyed it. It gives you a lot of like background kind of lore about the universe. We've only previously, I think there's only been one issue really that's given us any kind of information specifically on the different masks and the colors and the roles in the House of St. George.
Mhm.
And this book definitely elaborates on that more. It also gives us some like format of how hunters are made, and actually pretty much like how they become hunters, and where they like the process of the school, and like whether you're a white and a black mask, and how you would move to an azure or a scarlet mask, and if you wanted to become an emerald or the other one, shit, I can't remember. But
Oh yeah, there's too many.
yeah, it's really cool. I really enjoyed it. It was really, really fun. And I love that they're kind of getting more into, because don't get me wrong, Something is Killing the Children is a great story. It's so awesome. Every issue really pushes the story. But if you're building a world, which it seems like Tinian wants to do here, and I hope he does, you got to give you more backstory, right? You got to give more lore. And we definitely kind of got this. And it's fun to be in a one shot and not bog down the ongoing. So I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. I of course, the cover price top 10, if you watch Lords of the Long Box, they do the cover price top 10 and they always have that number 11 runner up. But if you do have a membership to cover price, they give you the top 20 books, and actually that book was number 18 on the runners up. So, and it did say
cover A.
Yeah, just cover A.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it was actually selling for over cover price, and it moved a lot of copies. Of course, I have the email right here that, again, fans, it was a fan favorite for the week. Of course, it focused on Maxine Slaughter. It did track 18 copies sold, 7-day uptrend of 81%, and a high sale of $12.04 for a raw copy. So, people are liking it. It's got that badass Dan Mora cover with, all the different slaughters on there. So
it really felt like, you look at it and it looks like, honestly, I was like, oh, Once and Future. You know what I mean? It looks like a cover of Once and Future with all the faces on there too.
Oh yeah, part of me really wasn't going to pick up the book because like I'm not even caught up on House of Slaughter, but I was just like, I saw the cover and I was like, one shot, and then I saw the Dan Mora thing. I was like, I might as well get it. But yeah, like you said, it's a perfect book to continue opening up that world. So
yeah,
definitely enjoying that. For me, that's all. That's all you got for what are we currently reading before I?
Yeah, I mean,
tough week.
I mean, some series ended. I'm trying to think if there's anything that ended really well. Like you said, Nice House on the Lake ended really well. And it's actually just going to be book one. It looks like they'll be coming back with, I don't know if it'll pick up at issue 13 or like a new number 1, but it doesn't look like the story's over. But yeah, no, that I'm good with that for this week.
For myself, a couple, there's a lot of DC stuff out there. Honorable mention, definitely the new Dark Knights of Steel. Of course, I talked about it last week. It's soon to be wrapping up. Another title that actually just wrapped up that I didn't speak too much about last year was the Sword of Azrael 6-issue miniseries.
I read that.
Interesting stuff. There's a lot of stuff that I feel like goes under the radar for DC because they're not the main characters in the world of like the big three, between Superman, Batman world, but there's a lot of like other characters who do get their due, and I do like these little 6-issue or 5-issue minis that they put out. So I'm happy that just wrapped up. But the book that I'm talking about this week, and this is a series that I feel like not a lot of people are talking about. The Joker, The Man Who Stopped Laughing, number 4 just came out this week. So of course it's our man Eric Rosenberg. It's really good. I mean, for me, I love it because it's got Red Hood and battling the Joker. Are you currently reading this?
Oh yeah. You're right. It's not, people aren't talking about it that much.
I can't believe like either of us haven't talked about it for the first 3 issues, but I wanted to talk about
voice in this issue. I felt like, in my opinion.
Yeah, it definitely went somewhere. Obviously I'm not going to spoil it for you, for anybody who hasn't been reading it, but I'm thoroughly enjoying it for the simple fact, it's basically got Joker in every issue. There's always something that he's always got a lot of people that are around him, and you see Harley, but the main thing is him battling Red Hood, and there's obviously a long history between those two. And this one we see, Red Hood and him, and the whole hospital scene. There's a whole hospital scene, and I really don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't been reading it, but I thoroughly think you should definitely be checking out this series. But another reason why I want to talk about it, especially this month, is I half like the issue. Now, with this series, right, and you're reading it, is like they have the main story, but then they have like these side stories at the end, right? So each issue's kind of had like its own little play. Like last issue, they had Big Barda and Joker. The previous issue was like his little friend, what's it, like Gappy or Jappy or something like that. But this issue, I was really excited because it's like I got through the main story, and then all of a sudden I get to the the side story or second story, whatever you want to call it. And it's got Zatanna as like the first thing, and I was like, oh, that's perfect. I was like, I get to read about Zatanna, and Matthew's doing again the same thing, and it's got some. And the really thing that really like about the side stories is Frank Avella's art.
Yeah,
like,
it's different.
It's completely different than the main cover or the main stuff, but this. It's very odd, and I can't believe they went this. But I'm going to spoil it anyway for the second series because it's not really anything anybody cares about. But so basically, Zatanna and him are fighting, and Joker kind of wants to start a family, and basically Joker becomes pregnant. What? Like Zatanna basically gives him, puts him in a spell where he basically has a family. It's like him and like I guess it's what's his name? Like Jackanapes is the name of the gorilla. And then, of course, you get the little clown, and then he wakes up and he has a family, and that's the family, but he's pregnant. And then there's like a little Joker. Like, I can't believe they went that way. Like, very weird. And then you get a really old school villain in Dr. Phosphorus. Like, and that's a character from like the old detective days that I can't believe they even brought back out. But yeah, it was very weird, but I was just happy to see Zatanna. And again, the Frank Avella art is definitely something that's pretty badass. So that's what I'm currently reading. A lot of DC stuff this week, not too much on the Marvel stuff or indie stuff. So hopefully, obviously, January will pick up. So
cool. Yeah, I didn't read. I haven't been reading those bonus episodes or bonus issues. Like
they're odd. They're definitely on the odd side. This one was obviously the weirdest one, but I had to read it once I got to the next page, and I was like, "Ooh, Zatanna!" Like. I'm down for that. So, So 2023, we appreciate everybody returning for our third season. That's the end of our episode. Season 3, people. We're starting season 3. Hope you all having a great new year to start off the year. Zach, any last words?
No, I'm excited for this year. Justin and I, like you saw with this episode, we got some new things that we are going to be doing this year. We're going to branch out a little bit more and try some new things, trying to shake it up so it's not just the same old, but always going to have fun, always keep it real like we do. And anyone has ideas, we're always open to it. If anyone wants to come on the show, please reach out. Or if you know someone you'd like to have on our show, please reach out. And yeah, man, I'm excited to see what happens this year.
Yeah, absolutely. We already have ourselves geared up for January. We have some returning people coming back for guests, some new people. So be on the lookout for all those in the upcoming weeks. And we'll catch you next week, everyone. Peace out.